What if I told you that deep within your DNA lies the story of an ancient encounter, one that shaped the very essence of who we are today? Today, we're diving into the incredible relationship between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals, two intelligent human species whose fates collided in ways that would echo through tens of thousands of years. From interbreeding and shared territories to genetic legacies and cultural exchanges, this is the untold story of our intertwined past. For decades, scientists debated whether Homo sapiens and Neanderthals merely crossed paths or truly coexisted. The traditional view was that Neanderthals were replaced by anatomically modern humans. But cutting-edge DNA analysis from fossil remains, published in top journals like Nature and Science, reveals something far more complex. According to these studies, interbreeding occurred approximately 47,000 years ago, shortly after Homo sapiens began migrating out of Africa. This wasn't a brief encounter. The genetic evidence suggests a window of around 7,000 years during which these two species shared land, resources, and yes, intimate relationships. Rather than a sudden replacement, this paints a picture of long-term cohabitation and interaction. It's likely that small groups of Homo sapiens and Neanderthals encountered each other repeatedly across overlapping territories, especially in regions of Europe and Western Asia. They weren't so different, after all. So, what's the biological impact of this ancient interbreeding? Today, every non-African human being carries between 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA. While that might seem like a small fraction, it represents thousands of genetic markers scattered throughout our genome, and some of them are surprisingly influential. Certain Neanderthal-derived genes affect how our immune systems respond to pathogens. These genes may have helped early humans adapt quickly to unfamiliar environments filled with new bacteria and viruses. Others influence skin pigmentation and hair texture, allowing populations to thrive in colder, darker climates by optimizing vitamin D synthesis. More intriguingly, some studies have linked Neanderthal DNA to behavioral traits, like sleep patterns, pain sensitivity, and even susceptibility to depression or nicotine addiction. This doesn't mean Neanderthals were anxious smokers, but it does highlight the subtle and far-reaching consequences of our ancient mingling. But where exactly did these species meet? Using ecological niche modeling, a method that maps where species could live based on climate, vegetation, and fossil evidence, scientists have pinpointed key areas of interaction. The most likely zones include parts of Southwest Asia, modern-day Levant, and southeastern Europe. These regions served as ecological crossroads, with climates suitable for both Neanderthals, who preferred colder, forested environments, and Homo sapiens, who adapted to a variety of habitats. Fossil evidence, stone tools, and even hearths suggest these regions hosted both species for extended periods. In caves scattered across Croatia, Israel, and France, archaeologists have uncovered overlapping layers of habitation, sometimes only separated by a few inches of sediment, indicating that Homo sapiens may have moved in right after Neanderthals left, or possibly even lived alongside them. Despite the evidence of interbreeding and coexistence, one species eventually disappeared. By about 40,000 years ago, Neanderthals had vanished from the fossil record. The question is why? One leading theory involves genetic bottlenecks. Neanderthal populations were much smaller and more isolated than Homo sapiens groups. Genetic studies show signs of inbreeding, which likely led to weakened immune systems, fertility issues, and a reduced ability to adapt to environmental change. Combine that with the arrival of Homo sapiens, who brought new tools, hunting strategies, and possibly even diseases, and the Neanderthals were likely overwhelmed. Importantly, this wasn't necessarily a story of violent conquest. It may have been slow, subtle, and tragic, a fading away of a population unable to keep pace with rapid change, despite their intelligence and adaptability. It's tempting to think of Neanderthals as primitive brutes, but that couldn't be further from the truth. They made tools, used fire, and possibly even created symbolic art. There is evidence of shell jewelry, red ochre pigment use, and even burial rituals. They had culture, and in some cases, it may have been transmitted to or adopted by Homo sapiens. When the two species met, they didn't just exchange DNA, they exchanged ideas. Archaeological findings suggest that Homo sapiens began incorporating new tool-making techniques and hunting strategies after arriving in Europe, practices that mirrored those of Neanderthals. This period may have been one of cross-cultural innovation, with both species benefiting from the interaction. Think of it as a prehistoric exchange program, only without the language apps and boarding passes. So, why does this all matter today? Understanding the relationship between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens is more than just ancient history. It helps us decode the genetic blueprint that defines modern humans. Our immunity, our biology, even aspects of our behavior, all shaped in part by a species that no longer walks the earth. Moreover, this story challenges the way we define us versus them. Neanderthals weren't a failed evolutionary experiment. They were part of our extended family, contributing to our survival and diversity. As scientists continue to uncover ancient genomes and reinterpret archaeological finds, we're rewriting the human story, not as a lone triumph of one species, but as a complex tapestry woven from multiple threads. In the end, the story of Homo sapiens and Neanderthals is one of connection, not just competition. It's about shared landscapes, shared genes, and perhaps even shared dreams. Their legacy is in our bones, in our blood, and in the stories we continue to uncover. The more we learn, the more we realize the past isn't dead, it lives within us. If you enjoyed this journey through ancient history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think we still have to learn from the Neanderthals?